and martial arts industry, I find that concerning safety measures and what so, like I can say that there's a lot of gyms which are martial arts studios which are taking the best precautions to actually keep a safe and secure environment, even if it's jujitsu, kickboxing, boxing. Now like we got to make sure that everything is like social distance and
Hmm.
make sure that some people are tested or some people are in good health or whatnot. So say that myself, I can speak for myself. Like I haven't had like for about a year, and
Hmm.
I find that unfortunate because they've been messing around with the health and fitness and martial arts industry for I could say over a year. Like if I'm not mistaken, so to my opinion, health is essential. Training is essential. I think this is what people have to understand is to change their bad habits. It's to
Hmm.
get lifestyle going. Now, not saying to go to the extreme like professional fighters do, like professional boxers, professional mixed martial artists, professional kickboxers, but just a jog, a simple walk, like if you want to go do some cross fitness, like if you want to play your favorite sport, that
Hmm.
to my opinion, because I've been in this industry all my life.
Yeah,
So that's going to help, and I am no microbiologist. I'm not a doctor, but I've been in the health and fitness and martial arts industry all my life. And I know for a fact that I am proof myself that you can live a healthy lifestyle and be not as affected that easily by this virus. So
right.
so like I find like there's a lot of in the best way I can say possible without bitching and whining. Like I could say there, there's a lot of misconceptions on what health has to be or how
Hmm.
solutions can be brought upon. Because to my opinion, like to mask up and to lock yourself in your basement is detrimental to your health. Not
For sure.
only your physical health, but your mental health too.
Put your mental health. Well, yeah, 100%. It's
So like
100% true.
yeah. So if you be it a professional athlete or if you be it like just a regular Joe, you cannot make me believe that that's good for your health. That is going to make it even worse.
Right.
So
Yeah. Um, I mean, it's one of those things that I'm sure you guys being in all the fighting gyms, you, Angry Monkey, all the other top gyms for fighting around Montreal have probably been, discussing and disputing this whole time. Um, Even for us here where I work, it's been a situation that we've just had to. I don't know, man. It's been difficult because, like you said, a lot of people, and even more for us finding out here since the pandemic started, is that a lot of people depend on physical training. Getting out to a gym for not only just their physical health but their mental health. Like for a lot of people who are parents of two, work all the time. That travel to the gym is their last little moment of it's their sanctuary. It's their last little time where they get to forget their problems. They get to go train, go work hard, make themselves feel better about themselves, and then they have the capability of kind of going back and dealing with whatever it is life is dealing with, doing to them at that moment. But yeah, it's really funny how physical health, physical fitness has kind of been put on the back burner, considering almost all the studies are saying that if you're in good physical health, if you are taking care of your body, if you're eating right, if you're doing all the things that we promote and that we are trying to do as people in the fitness industry, you have a, a huge benefit when it comes to COVID. When it comes to these kind of things, you're less likely. Your symptoms are going to be diminished. Your body is going to be able to deal with it less. You're going to have less respiratory issues. Your flu symptoms are going to go down. Like all these things are proven. Like they're shown. The majority of people, I think it's something like 70 something odd percent of the people who end up in ICU are people who
are obese,
um,
out of
are
shape.
obese. Yes, Yes, they're obese, they're out of shape, and they have vitamin D deficiencies. So all of those things point to things that get fit, go outside, do something for yourself, be outside and do some stuff. And it's just weird how, like, I like to say that I understand, we're a species of people who learn by our mistakes. Like, we're animals that learn. We make a mistake. We have the ability to communicate, to pass that knowledge on to the next of our kin, to the people we work with. So at first, when we shut everything down because nobody had an idea what this thing was, I
So it,
understood. I get it. Yeah, I get it. But then as things progressed, as we started learning more, and as there was no adaptation to that scenario, that's when I think things started to get frustrated. And for us, being coaches, being trainers, being we do classes, we also do private training. When they cut down everything and shut everything off, I understood again. You don't want to have a lot of people. There's a chance that people are going to infect each other. They don't know, asymptomatic. I get it, but then so my girlfriend can go and get her eyelashes done. You can get a massage. You can go see a physiotherapist. You can go see a doctor, and all those things. Listen, I understand a lot of people need to do that. Maybe you don't rank us as high as them, but at the same time, we're talking about science here. We're not talking about situations where it's like the virus knows the difference between if you're going to get your eyelashes or your nails done or you're going to the gym to work out. Contact is contact. So the fact that they were letting one group of people work in a very similar scenario to us, but they told us no, was frustrating, right? It was
well,
stupid.
at the end of the day, Blake, if people are going to take the time and not be lazy and take the time to sit down, analyze, and execute and look at what's going on around them and ask themselves, is this really about health now? About a
Hmm.
year ago, I can say the world was in panic mode. The governments
Hmm.
were in panic mode. People were in panic mode because people were like disinfecting their groceries and so and so. Which now,
Hmm.
like, we at this and we find it's totally ridiculous, and people are starting to open up their minds and eyes and saying, "Oh my God, like that's so dumb." But because we were in panic mode, because we had no answers, because something that is something that's new to the public
Hmm.
is, like, we are very emotional creatures. So the first thing that happens is panic, it's fear. Now, what I find unfortunate is that not only do they give us misinformation, because if this would be really about health a year later, if this would be
Hmm.
really, they would actually be giving solutions to how to prevent this, to how
Yeah.
to fight, to how to better live with this, because this is not going
Hmm.
away, because this looks to me like it's going to be going on for a long time. So let's find solutions rather than just stagnate and say, oh, well, okay, well, let's mask up the whole population. Let's use the gyms and health and martial arts and the restaurants and so forth as an scapegoat. That's what I'm looking at now. That's my
Right.
personal opinion, thinking that the decision makers are being lazy. Now,
Hmm.
I'm no politician, but it kind of looks that way to my eyes as a civilian and as a worker. I find
Hmm.
it's very out there. It's like, okay, well, we have an scapegoat, so let's go to the restaurants, let's go to the gyms. Yet we can go do our eyelashes. Yet we can go do our nails. Yet we can go to so and so, like Costco's and Canadian Tires, which I get. We all need that because that's essential stuff. But in my eyes, what's really essential is to stay strong, stay healthy, make
Hmm.
solutions, understand how to deal with this new virus which has come worldwide. Now, in my opinion, here in Quebec, I find it's how we say it in French, c'est malsain. It's
Hmm.
the media could actually give solutions rather than follow a narrative saying, well,
Hmm.
okay, this is what it is, so let's fearmonger the whole population of Quebec and
Right.
keep them masked up and keep them in their basement, but not tell them to change their diets, to have to change their bad habits, to
Hmm.
try to like get less stress going. So what is the best way to do this? Well, to get an active lifestyle. Now, not saying martial arts is important, not saying crossfitting is important, but just to stay active, just to go
Hmm.
outside, go for a bicycle ride. Like you can go play your
Hmm.
favorite, like go throw the football, you know. But what the message here is, I think it's very on the fly. That's my opinion there. But I'm pretty sure that a lot
Right.
of other people like think the same way. It's done very quick. It's like, okay, well, there was a couple of cases in Quebec City in one gym in 10 days, and there's
Hmm.
over 400 cases. Now, to my opinion, I find that's a lot of misleading information because
Hmm.
when people hear this on the mainstream media, they think, oh, well, like the gym got 400 people with cases. No, it's probably 4 or 5 people which had the cases, and they
Hmm.
went to like to the mall, and they went to the gas station, and they went here and they went there. So that's probably how they work. But when you
Right.
give it a generalized look, especially from the mainstream media, well, people tend to not dig deep. So they look into it and say, oh, well, it's because of the gym in Quebec, which is so
Right.
unfair, like to that gym owner, because he's looking like the ultimate bad guy, which that's
Yeah.
totally the worst, the worst, the worst journalism ever, in my opinion, because
Hmm.
I find it's very vindictive and very lazy on their part. So they're just looking
Right.
for people that are in the health and fitness industry and martial arts, like it, looking at us as an scapegoat. There has been no scientific facts that staying healthy with of course the proper measures, with of
Hmm.
course like everything under wraps, that it's it's totally the opposite. You have to stay healthy to fight this, to create a
Hmm.
stronger system, no matter what age range. And I can give
Hmm.
you personal examples, and I know of people like crazy, and I'm sure you do too, that have lived through this and that have caught this virus and now are living very normal and very strong.
Hmm. Yeah. It's it's a thing, and even to touch on the thing about the gym in Quebec. Um, at least everything, because I tried to read as much up on it as I possibly could. Um, my biggest thing is, yes, even if that dude, because some reports say that like he wasn't following measures, he didn't have cleaning stuff in his gym, he was a denier, whatever his personal beliefs are, and then he ended up in ICU with COVID. Aside from all that, that's like you said, whatever. The
We
CrossFit
don't know.
gym next to him, yeah, the CrossFit gym next to him also had cases with people who caught it as well. Again, it's understandable. My biggest thing is though, they've separated this whole thing into regions. This was the whole purpose of all these different regions doing different things. That's why Montreal has been red the whole time. That's why different places went to yellow. That's why other places are okay and other places are not. And I back this measure because I'm a firm believer that, listen, some places will get hit hard, some places will have issues, some places won't. The places that won't shouldn't be affected by the places that do. So if you're living out in Outaouais or if you're living out in wherever else and your area is not highly affected by this, well, then you can let them go about their daily business. Like you said, again, we can have good measures, people wearing masks, sanitary, making sure they keep the distance, just so we get this thing under control. Understandable. But the biggest thing for me that really kind of pissed me off about that was that, so here is a business that is in Quebec City, not in Montreal, that sparked a big thing because notoriously throughout this whole pandemic, at least from what I've been reading, Quebec City has not been following protocol at all. Like they've just kind of like been like, yeah, we'll do whatever we want. It's fine, do whatever. But yeah, it's just it's absolutely ridiculous. All the shit they've
I
been going through.
find I find it's lazy decision making. That's
Yeah.
my thing. Lazy decision making, saying, let's not do research, let's not dig deep into this situation. Let's say the Quebec gym, like let's like just take that like for an example, and let's just make it obvious and let's throw the blame on them. So them meaning us meaning the
Mm-hmm.
health and industry, us meaning the martial arts, fitness, and the sports
Right.
industry, how lazy is that as a government decision? That's fucking lazy. Like, if you ask me, it's like, okay, well, one is like that. Well, then let's make everybody pay the price for one person under that actually isn't following protocol. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
in Montreal, and meanwhile, like on the south side, the east side, the west side,
Hmm.
a lot of martial arts gyms and a lot of CrossFit gyms and a lot of other sports venues were following protocol, and there has been nothing that was out of the
Nothing.
ordinary. Nothing.
Nothing.
So
There's
how
no
can
cases. There's no nothing.
like I was having discussions with a lot of people. This is
Hmm.
laziness on decision makers going, they don't want to look deep into this. Now what they're doing is going, okay, well, let's try to make this in, like, let's make the mainstream media pump out all this information, and let's make the
Hmm.
gym on a scapegoat so that the regular population will look at us as the big corporates like to do something wrong. But
Hmm.
meanwhile, we are probably the fucking solution to this. We are the solution to this. I'm convinced that if we strengthen our immune system
Of
and if we follow
course.
our protocol and common sense too, it's like if you're asking me to mask up when I'm going to run a 400-meter track, that's a
Hmm.
no no. That's a no brainer. You need oxygen to actually have a good, healthy, firm environment. You cannot
Hmm.
mask yourself up and deprive yourself of oxygen. That's a no
Well,
brainer.
and yeah, and also, I mean, everything is said, like all the signs, at least that I've seen, is that being outside, UV rays, everything kills the virus anyways. So
100%.
the chances of you contracting or giving somebody the virus from running around a track, as long as someone's not standing directly in front of you and you're breathing right into them, you'll be okay. Like you'll be fine. So you can stagger yourselves, you can run 2 feet behind somebody or whatever, or and you'll be okay. Like even like they went and said the two mask thing, and I'm like, the two mask thing. I'm like, guys,
Ridiculous.
this is completely rule. Like you're running around in circles here. Like there was a breakage, and I understand that the variant is they're saying it's more it's easier passable to more people, but it's less aggressive than the original. So I understand that. Like you're still trying to play again. It's them, like you said, it's them making decisions on things that they're not really privy to, that they don't really understand. And my biggest issue with all that is you have doctors who work for you, work for you, whatever you want to say. You have science that is readily available to the entire public. The day of people sitting around their TVs, watching the nightly news and believing anything that politicians or news anchors are going to say is gone. That shit does not work anymore. You can't
Exactly.
get by just by saying these things because the information is there. It's all over. My girlfriend personally researches this shit every time she hears something. She goes and reads for like an hour, hour and a half, scientific journals, looks at all the research, sees what's going on, understands the terminology, and then she comes back to me and tells me like everything that's going on. And it's frustrating for a population because here you have these people who are in positions, and again, I don't, I don't, uh, I don't want Legault's position. I don't want Plante's position. I don't
Of
want Trudeau's position because the situation in which all these people have been put in are catastrophic compared to their predecessors. Aside from maybe people who were presidents and prime ministers during like World War II or the Gulf
which
War or 9/11. You know what I mean? Like these eruptive events. But even at that case, these were events that lasted, a day or a month. But this has like been an ongoing year and a half where these people are trying to they're trying to find a sense of normalcy. You know what I mean?
well,
Um,
well, in like my opinion, Blake, like they're winging it. That's like the best way
yeah,
like I can, because to my opinion, like I've had some people say, yeah, but coach, like you should put yourself like in their position. I'm like, you don't know what they're going through. And I said, you're absolutely right. But if I would have that type of power, I would actually go on to a panel of specialists, sports medicine
hmm,
doctors, people which
that's
deal
it.
with every day, professional
That's it.
football players, professional soccer players,
That's it.
pro, and I want their opinion and their facts. And I know
That's
that
it.
not everyone the professional athlete. But if we take example from these professionals which deal with athletes, well, maybe something good might come out of this, and we
Well,
might
yeah.
have a solution for the regular Joe.
Well,
But
yeah. I
what
mean,
they're
even the NFL, like even the NFL now, who's had a full season with COVID, had
yeah,
mounds of data that they've been taking because they have to adjust their business based on protocol. So they've got a bunch of data on, like, you're talking about a sample size of 30, I think it's like something like 3,300 athletes, guys who are constantly working like with each other, around each other, all this kind of stuff, where they've case studied, cataloged, and basically traced all these people to figure out anybody who got COVID, where did they get it from, how long were they COVID positive, what did they do. They have all this information just sitting there looking at it. And for us in sport, that's like, this is what we want. We need somebody like this to take this information now, analyze it, and look at it and be like, okay, so in what situation, how many people out of the games that we played that you found that someone had COVID, and if they played, how many people did they come in contact with? And did any of those people catch COVID? And if they did, how many of them, and what were the instances as to which they came into, they came into contact? Because that in itself will give you a large amount of information as to what is considered safe and what is not. And especially with the nature of American football being something that where people are in constant like contact, hitting each
contact.
other, breathing on each other, going into
Yep.
piles, like, that's huge. That's huge. But
Well,
really, again, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
sorry. Well, look, like the best example, is like what you just said, football, and look at who never stopped working and was working between those guidelines and working with the best protocol. The UFC is the best example on the planet. The
That's
best
true.
example.
Yep.
They haven't stopped since the pandemic started because they have looked and researched and used protocol, so on and so forth. Now, people that want to stay blind to this and want to stay ignorant to this, so be it. That's your choice. We don't want to stay ignorant to this. We want to either find a solution for this, and we want people to live a healthy, normal lifestyle without
Mm-hmm.
getting fear mongering every goddamn day from the mainstream media. Now, some people will understand this. Some people will feel comfortable wearing double masks. Some will feel comfortable staying in their basements like for 14
Mm-hmm.
or 15. So be it. Let it be your choice. See what they did
Mm-hmm.
like in the United States of America, and see and take example from the countries which are dealing with this pandemic in a proper manner. Do not compare ourselves to the other countries which have been failing. Now, the province of Quebec, to my opinion, I find there is misconception. It's very political. There is misleading information. It's probably egos. It's very political because Quebec has always been the black sheep of Canada.
Yeah,
So
we're the
what
Texas of
you
Canada. We do things the way we want to do it.
exactly. So what
Yeah.
you just said was that in the United States, like they all work together, like with the NFL, to all like get data, right? Now, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that the Quebec government does that shit. I think they keep it to themselves, and I think they keep it very internally. So they
Mm-hmm.
only look at the doctors which they choose to ask, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't go look elsewhere. Now, maybe I might be wrong, but it's a year now. So how come we have no solutions? How come they don't preach something else than every day that when we open up a freaking television or whatsoever, like the only thing that we hear is pandemic COVID, pandemic COVID, pandemic COVID. There is more to life than this bullshit now,
Yeah.
like it's really becoming, because we're losing a lot of, let's say, friendships, family members, because it's starting to divide the population because they don't have all the facts. So they're
Mm-hmm.
getting misled by media rather than find solutions.
Yeah, and it's. I think it's. again, so I think Quebec has done some things, even despite that people, like a lot of us were kind of like, in why are you doing these things against, the protocol that, these that the drug companies are saying, like when they decided to split the doses, um, even when Pfizer and them said, don't do that because we haven't tested it, but it ended up being something that they felt that actually is working to our benefit. That's why Quebec's numbers are, oh nice, going down, and like and Ontario's is going up, is because we chose to take care of the population that was at most susceptible. Which, again, like I said, some things they do make sense, like they
Thank
have
God.
these moments of, yeah, they have these moments of every once in a while doing something that logically makes sense. Take care of the people who are most susceptible. Let those people get the vaccination first, because they're the ones who are going to clog the system, which is going to make the rest of us go into
100.
lockdown. But those of us who
Exactly.
are healthy, who are not that much at risk of getting violently sick, let us do our thing in a safe manner, and let's go. Even at the beginning, the WHO said that the idea of a lockdown was not a permanent fixture. The idea was that you shut everything down, everything down for 2 weeks to stop any chance of spread. Then you slowly reopen things in order to allow people to get back to their daily lives. Because if you do an elongated lockdown the way that they've locked down, open, lockdown, open, lockdown, open, you're fucking with people's mental state. I said like a couple of
That's
podcasts ago, and even I've been saying it to people, that like it's not the lockdown in essence. It's not even the economy that's going to be the situation. It's the mental fuckery that's going to end up happening, because for me, life always happens in thirds. You can always get people to do things in thirds. So you can get them to stay down for 3 weeks, 3 months, something like that, to keep them, to have them idea. But you got to keep a level of normalcy. But once you overstep that rule of thirds, that's when shit starts to get weird. And that's when people are going to start to just simply go against you for the sake of going against you. And that's what we saw. Like we see the
of course.
protests of a bunch of people out there doing their shit, jumping around, doing a bunch of crap. And listen, I'm not against it. They're 20 years old. When I was 20, I was just as fucking stupid as they were. The problem was, what does that
Makes sense.
aggravation lead to? It leads to them like destroying businesses that are going through the same shit that they're going through. And to go back to another point of what you said,
Yeah.
the main problem is information. We're not getting the information. It's like you said, to a certain extent, like they're releasing this information here, this information there. But if they were to give people the full scope of exactly what's going on, even from a day-to-day basis, just be like, listen, we don't know. We don't know how this is reacting. That's why we're taking these measures. We're not sure. Now we're sure. Okay, now we know that we can deal with this. If they were open and honest about this and stopped treating it like media always does kind of in Quebec, where we get like we get like these little bits and pieces, and then it causes people to argue back and forth about certain things or whatever,
Yeah.
we'd be in a better place. Because if we don't know, we can all take precaution. We're not sure yet. If we do know, then let's know what that is, and let's move on, and let's move forward.
Well, look, like you have a very rational way to look at things.
Right.
Unfortunately, not everybody. You see, like unfortunately, I don't even trust the decision makers to look at this
Right.
in a rational sense of view. Like
Right.
they want the most effective, efficient way to get rid of this and
Yeah.
to have the fastest way possible to let the population accept what they're saying. But
Yeah.
in this day and era, in like in this day and age, we are
Hmm.
we are very open to a lot of information. So of course, like there are
Hmm.
social media platforms, there Google, so people get educated and informed. Now, unfortunately, there is a lot of misleading information. That's where
Hmm.
common sense comes in. You know, so that's where for, but I'm against. Like when you got to do your research, like you got to go look at the numbers and the facts and what's going on. But if you don't have enough information and data to look up those proper numbers and
Hmm.
those proper solutions, you'll never come up with a good answer. So the thing is, like, I'm actually doing a math test, but I got half of the like equation, and you are asking me
Yeah.
to come up with the answer. I come
Right.
up with the answer because I got half the freaking equation. That's what's
Hmm.
wrong. over here in Quebec. That's my opinion here because, to my opinion, what I've seen just as a civilian, it's look
Mm-hmm.
like it's being half-assed. It looks
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, well, let's on the gyms like for 10 days. Oh, well, no, sorry. Oh, well, let's open up the gyms like for 10 days and see what's going on. Oh, well, now like
Mm-hmm.
let's close them down again. So they're just by trial and error. But
Mm-hmm.
to my opinion, it's looking like more of an scapegoat than
Yeah.
actually, it's like, look everywhere. Look at the data, which is worldwide. Look at what's going on in Western Canada. Look at what's going on like in the southern part of the state. Look at what's going on like in South America. Look in Europe. Don't always look at yourself like and compare yourself to France. Because
Yeah.
what I've noticed, maybe I can be wrong, but what I've noticed is that every decision which I've seen this government take is something similar to what France has been doing. But France is
Right.
not the best example. In
Well, no,
my
because they don't.
eyes,
Our governments are
the best
different. The
example,
way the population is different. The population density is different. Like we're not at all the same when it comes to anything that we're doing.
for me, it's about numbers and data.
Yeah.
Now, if they're going
Yeah.
to give us the truth, look at the numbers and look at the data. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that if there's more cases, it's more dangerous. No, it's just fucking cases, man. There's
Mm-hmm.
cases which are going to rise because there are certain places which are more densely populated. So, which makes more sense? You see, like if you go to British Columbia, well, they're not as populated as Quebec. So of course, like they are gonna have less cases because it's not dense. Like if you're
Yeah.
gonna go to New Brunswick, it's the same thing, like less. Why? Because it's not as big as the province of Quebec. Now, let's stop comparing ourselves left and right, but they have to look at the data and see what's going on and they have to make sense of it. They cannot generalize one thing and use gyms and fitness centers and restaurants as an scapegoat because
Mm-hmm.
there's no scientific evidence whatsoever. And in my
Yeah.
other opinion, what really gets my boat, because I really take this like at heart, because I've been
Mm-hmm.
doing martial arts and I've been in the industry all my life. This is who I am. This is how I live. Now, like you're taking
Right.
this away from me. It,
Mm-hmm.
what's this curfew all about? Is there science saying that the curfew works at 8 o'clock? It works at 30. Come on, man. Like that's another asinine fucking decision from the government or from people that
Yeah.
give him those decisions, which in my opinion is total garbage. Why eight
Right.
o'clock in Montreal and why 30 like in the northern part or southern
Mm-hmm.
part? There, if there's a debate on this, giving real facts and numbers about
Mm-hmm.
ever since the curfews have been going on, while the cases have been dropping, then
Yeah.
okay, then I'd say like we have something that's really concrete and maybe the rest of the world should take a look at this. We're the only
Right.
bozos which complying to this garbage. It's like becoming incredible. Like who makes these decisions? Like I don't
Right. Right.
soon are they gonna tell them in the mainstream media I'm gonna walk like on all fours because the variant might be at 3 feet up in the air. Come on, man! Like it's fucking ridiculous. Like it's becoming absurd, And yet there's people which talk to me and they are condescending to me about
Mm-hmm.
health when my whole life has been surrounded by health. Like, are you
Correct.
kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm 45 and I have not been affected by it because I've been staying healthy. I eat well,
Mm-hmm.
I sleep well, stay
Right.
active the best I can. Of course, in a
Mm-hmm.
very responsible manner. And I'm not
Right.
selfish because I understand what's going on in the world. But you will not catch me outside with a fucking mask. You will not
Mm-hmm.
catch me trying to hide in my basement like for days and days. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. The um so the only thing for me is because I my background's in like psychology and sociology when I was in school. So to an extent I can kind of understand the idea behind the curfew, only because we all know as people who are, big people or people who know how to fight or people who know how to protect people from other people. Nothing good happens after like 11 o'clock. Like everything that is a bad idea happens at nighttime, right? So on a certain level, I can understand the premise behind putting in a curfew because it lessens the ability for groups to gather after hours. Because I will personally say, living where I live in Montreal, I heard before they installed the curfew, I heard and I could hear and see people partying, getting together, doing all these kind of things a lot. And again, I understand, but then that's when I heard a lot, like you hear the stories of, well, they got together after hours. And anyways, listen, you can debate that as much as you want. All I'm saying is that I can understand the ideology behind that thing. Where I think they fucked up, where I think is a big problem, is they changed it. In my mind, they either should have left it at 8 and never done anything about it because people were okay when they said, okay, curfew's 8 o'clock. People bitched, people moaned, people whined, they didn't like it, but they got used to it. But the second that they said, okay, it's at 8, and then they said, okay, no, you know what? We're doing good. So we're gonna push it to 9:30. They pushed it to 9:30, and then the whole thing with the gym happened. They said, you know what? We're going back. We're going back to 8 o'clock. That's when you fucked with people. That's when you're starting to do like a martial law kind of thing where you're starting to tell people what to do with their time and how they do things. That's when you got in trouble. Had they left things normally, had they left things at 8 or left it at 9:30 and said, listen, 9:30, but if we catch you outside, you're going to have a fucking problem because you should not be out. Again, that's another issue. But for me, it's the level, it's
Well, I
consistency.
get.
The more huh? Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
No,
well, I
yeah, go
get
ahead.
like your concept,
Yeah,
but the thing is it like I said before, if the numbers complied with this
yeah,
tactic, then
yeah,
then I would be for it 110%.
yeah.
Now, if the
Well, at least
numbers are
at
not
least from what I saw is that when they did
yeah,
instill the curfew, the numbers actually did go down because a lot of the mass spreading events that had happened up to that point were kids and people like going up north or having house parties where they were having large gatherings of people come together, and that curfew gave the ability for the cops to come in and basically say, listen dude, we're shutting this shit down. Because another thing to think about, and again, I'm not saying that the curfew was the best idea. I'm not saying that denying people the right to do what they want is the conceptualization of possible solutions. I can understand the reasoning behind what they did. Is it the right thing? I don't know. I'm not smart enough. I haven't done enough research to gauge that. All I'm saying is that in my mind, I kind of get it. But what I will say is that at that point, there was a lot of mass spreader events that had happened where kids and everything were partying after hours. And you know what? People are not as rational as you and I are. People are not going to be like, you know what? There's a virus out there. A lot of people can get sick. Let's just ease up a bit on the partying and the doing stuff and whatever. Like, let's just give it some time. Let's let them figure it out. Get the vaccine spread it a little bit more, and then we'll go back to normalcy, right? A lot of people are not like us. A lot of people, they hear somebody say, do this, and they're like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to go do something else because you told me what to do and I'm not doing what you're telling me what to do. That's just the nature of it, right? A lot of people don't have, the disciplinary of being in sports their whole life like I do. A lot of people have not been, like a world renowned martial arts coach or, like a fighting, a fighting champion like you have. They don't have that discipline in their mind. Like, I'm going to follow this. I'm going to listen to what they say for a bit. If it doesn't make sense, then I'll question it. But for now, like, I'm going to kind of keep my mind in the right frame and just push forward. A lot of people will just turn back, especially like you said in
and
Quebec.
like
It's that rebellious nature.
yeah, and that's why we need to reach and become essential because people like us like are actually rational beings. So like if we could spread the word like by coaching the
Mm-hmm.
coming generation or the up and coming and the up and coming athletes, it's not only about running, jumping, kicking, and punching. Like it's
Yeah.
about a mindset and it's about discipline and it's about integrity and it's about being rational. So
Right.
people like us are, in my opinion, are essential because we actually build better human beings physically and mentally. Yet we are looked at and we are kind of demonized, saying that, oh, well, you guys are selfish because you want to continue coaching, this and that. There's a lot of misconceptions, like I say, and I preach, we build better human beings. Point
Yeah.
final. We build better.
Yeah, well, my point has always been is that your brain is hardwired to deal with trauma, to deal with bad times, to deal with stress. It's something that you can't get away from. It's built into your genetics to do something like that. So if that's going to be the case, and you feel like your life is getting too cushy, you're going to have to figure out a way to exercise that part of your brain in a controlled environment to where that part of you is getting worked out, it's getting its stress out, it's getting its feeling uneasy. Because at least in my life, anytime I've been around somebody who has kind of taken on the ability to control their stress through going through a workout or doing whatever they're doing, and putting themselves in a position of feeling like I'm out of control because I'm in a bad situation, but I'm in a controlled environment where really nothing terrible is going to happen. But whenever they put themselves in that situation, like much like a cage match, like when the bell rings, it's absolute mayhem, it's pandemonium, people are going to get kicked in the face, people are going to get knocked out, get their shins broken, all that kind of crazy shit's going to happen. But when it's over, and life goes back to normal again. So for me, much like the same belief,
Well,
it's like if we can get people to understand and get governments to understand that, listen, this physical education that you have in the last 20 some odd years, like, diminished to almost nothing. Like, gym used to be a part of school. It used to be something that we learned. Like, you used to have the Terry Fox runs, you used to have the fitness tests in elementary schools and everything. You used to have all these things that taught people the importance of being physically fit. These things don't exist anymore. And now you're seeing up cases in
yeah.
childhood depression, childhood obesity. People are vastly unhealthy. They're dealing, you have viruses like, that COVID that are coming around, and they're like decimating people because they're unfit and they don't. And the biggest thing is, and to speak to your and my profession, they don't know how to be fit. They don't learn that, hey, you got to go run a quarter mile, you got to go do push-ups, you got to go do some sit-ups, you got to do some jumping jacks, go jump some rope. Like, you don't have all these things anymore built into the educational system where people were learning
Yeah.
the basis on how to be physically active. You're just not getting that anymore.
Well, see, look, like we live in an era where everything is at our fingertips, which in a way I could say we are one of the smartest generations around, but one of the
Mm-hmm.
laziest because we have all the
Yeah.
information which are at our fingertips. What happened when I was a young boy and we were in our educational system, we were taught to deal with adversity. We were taught
Yeah.
to deal with failure. And if we failed, then we had to push harder to become better at what we weren't good at. So
Yeah.
that creates an individual which has integrity, has perseverance. So in his education becomes his everyday lifestyle when he becomes full grown man or woman. So
Mm-hmm.
adversity for them is not going to be uncomfortable. It's going to become get comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. That's what I always
Exactly.
preach to my fighters. Guys, get comfortable in that uncomfortable situation, which makes a whole lot of sense. Like if you stop and think about it for a second. But
Yeah.
nowadays, everything seems so easy and people don't want to make that extra jump, that extra run, or that extra move to understand what's going on in today's society. Nowadays, like
Mm-hmm.
what they're type of telling the kids to do is the least effort possible, and I just need to see that result. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
about how you get that result. Like it's not always about that result. So,
Well, it's all, and
like
it's
just
also
call
the
me
path.
crazy,
Yeah.
but I still, yeah, But I still do believe that hard work does get you somewhere, and it's hard work, but smart work too at the same time, because you learn
Mm-hmm.
from failures. You learn from
Mm-hmm.
all of the best champions on this planet, be it football, be it soccer, be it hockey, be it boxing, be it mixed martial arts. They all failed. There's not one of
Of
these
course.
guys which I can tell
Of
you that
course.
has not failed. Everybody has failed. They need
Of course.
failure like to become a champion. And this
Of
is in
course.
everyday life. Now you know this, I know this, but this up and coming educational system does not teach this. You have to get comfortable with failing. And I know it sucks. It really sucks. I hate to
But it's
lose, you hate
necessary.
to lose,
But
kids,
it's necessary.
but what exactly? It's you need that in your life to grow. But nowadays, like, they're trying to make people go, oh well, it doesn't feel so good, so let's try to avoid it. Nah, you need to feel that shittiness feeling of losing and failing, because you won't do it again, because you're going to work harder and smarter, of course, and you're not going to feel that shitty feeling again. But now, like, we're giving people participation trophies just because they showed up. That is that is
Or they're
another
not
one
taking
which
score.
I,
As my buddy
you know,
likes to say with his son, who does jujitsu and plays football. He's like, they don't even take score anymore. At certain, like, he's just getting to the age now where score matters, and he's like, this is absolutely fucking ridiculous. He's like, this is so
this is
stupid.
horrible
He's like, my kid
because
is 10 years old and he doesn't know what losing is. I'm like, so what? He's gonna lose his first game and he's gonna go into a manic depression because he's never lost before. I'm like, he's like, by the time I was
exactly,
5, I had, like, you know what I mean? I've been on a team that won a championship. I've been on a team that lost every game. I've been a team that's so. He's like, how do you learn how to deal with anything at that point? He's like, it's ridiculous, the level that they're taking this to try to, like, make people not feel bad, good. He's like, on a base level, and this is my buddy who used to play pro ball, like pro American ball. He's like, at the base level, he's like, if you were terrible and you knew you were like, and you know, you had these because you went and you played and you were not good at something. Life taught you, listen, this is not your thing. Don't put a lot of effort in this because this is not your thing. Like, you've tried, you've done stuff, you've altered things. It's not your thing. Go spend your energy on something else that is going to be more fruitful for you so that you can live better and be better. He's like, by doing these participation bullshit things, he's like, I've seen kids now who are like 12, 13, 14 years old who should never touch foot on a football field because they're just not physical makeup and their mentality are not there, and they're still playing. He's like, that's a problem. There needs to be a filtration process, and I'm sure you guys see it in MMA the same, although you guys do not follow that rule at all, because if you get hit in the face too many times, that's it. You're done. Like, you go down, forget about it. But at least in those team
of
sport situations, it's ridiculous, like, the situations it's in.
well, like, I find that there is different sports like for different folks. Like, a lot of people
Exactly.
tell me, yeah, but I can do it all. Listen, if you're built to play football, you're built to play football. Now, I am not saying that you won't have the chance. You can play full. Anybody could lace up a pair of shoes and go on a football field and throw a ball and catch it and run it.
Right.
But if you're built for it, like to play it at a high level, we
Mm-hmm.
can see this, we can notice this.
Yes.
And same thing
Yes.
with boxing and martial arts, Muay Thai, soccer,
Yes.
whatever. The thing is when at a certain age, like, I can say, like, if you're at 10 years old, 12 years old, I get it. Like, the competitiveness has to be there, but to a minimum, because they
Mm-hmm.
are still growing. But they have
Yeah.
to understand that they're not always going to win, that they're not always going to lose. But when
Yeah.
you're going to becoming a teenager, you have to understand that it's not always about winning. It's about effort, it's about talent. And unfortunately, not everybody has talent. It sucks, but that's the cold-hearted truth.
That's it.
There's
We're all
everybody
built
which
different.
is on the Exactly. There's everybody which is on the same level of playing field, but then there's ones who shine, and then there's ones who work harder, and then there's ones which just crumble under pressure. That's how it
Yep.
is. It's never changed. It's been like that for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
That's why, to
And
me, sport. is important for children because it teaches them how to deal with life. It's
Yeah,
straight up that, like,
that's it.
tired.
Yep. No,
Okay, so
100%.
get
100%. Yeah.
uh,
And
it's
I
crazy.
mean, it's, and it's one thing that I know, what is it? The Ultimate Tough never got like, I don't think it never got that acclimated praise. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people
Oh,
didn't really like Tough when it came on TV, just because of
yeah.
all the stuff. I mean, Brendan Schaub talks about it a lot about how what you see on camera is not at all how it was off camera. But the one thing I will say for Tough that I always really liked is that in being in only seeing the UFC and seeing the guys who jump in the ring. Um, I think a lot of people kind of got this feeling of like, oh well, it's just people beating the crap out of each other. It's whatever. But I think what Tough really did was really show how complicated that sport really is. Like how much coaching, how much time, how much effort, how much practice has to go into before a man even like thinks about jumping in the ring. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be, to train our mutual friend Ariel and then get to know you
Yeah.
and then get to step inside of TriStar and watch guys train and watch the amount of effort that got put into everybody getting fit and working hard and everything. And I mean, being an athlete already or a former athlete, I understood that. But I mean, like you just people who don't understand the sport and don't understand the level of commitment you need to get in there to be doing like all these different sports and then not only dealing, like football and specific sports, baseball, basketball, hockey, all these kind of things. It's a certain set of skills that you're utilizing to do things. The thing about martial arts is, or mixed martial arts, MMA specifically, is that you can have a guy from any discipline or any mixture of disciplines. And you can meet one guy who is proficient in Muay Thai, who knows how to wrestle, who knows how to do this. And you dominate him, you destroy him, you take him apart. You can meet another guy who knows how to do grappling. He's what I mean. He's an Aikido specialist. He boxed for years. He was an American top team wrestler. Everything is so different from fight to fight, from training camp to training camp, from how everything does, and even the way that you guys teach guys is unique to no other sport across in the planet. There's just nothing because you guys are basically trying to teach guys how to go to war and how to deal with the biggest level of chaos two people can actually like agree upon getting into, because you just have no way of really understanding what that other person's going to do. You have no way. And so it's like it's always amazing to me, and I would just sit there with
Yeah.
my mouth open and watch you guys coach, because I'm just like, you were talking about. I remember one time you were teaching a heavyweight how to throw his weight around, how to throw a punch, how to protect himself, how to come back. If he shoots your legs, you've got to back this way. If he comes after your face, you've got to move this way. And I was just like, I don't know how someone's brain encapsulates all this information and then is able to like shoot it back out in practice on a moment's notice. And all my meanwhile knowing, like, if I fuck up, my lights are going out. Like, this guy's either going to choke me till I'm not going to see straight, or he's going to punch me dead in the eye and I'm going to fall apart. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. And just to kind of go way back and kind of circle back around, the article I read that you and Sandro put out about the whole situation about cops coming 6 times to to your gym to well, we heard that this was going on and that was going on and this is going. I personally feel
It
bad.
was 15 times.
15? Okay, because
It
the
was
paper said
yeah.
6. It didn't even say
It is
15.
horrible. No, it was 15 times which they had came during this past year. Yet we have followed protocol. We have professional fighters which got to feed their
Right.
families,
Yes.
so they need
Right.
to get in that training because it's essential for them because they got to feed their families. So it's their work. So the thing is, we were closed to the open public, of course, and followed proper protocol. But when it comes to people's livelihoods, well, it's
Hmm.
we are not gonna throw these guys like in the garbage bin. So they had every right to earn their living. And what was going on was there was this company which was downstairs, which was called, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it straight out, RD International, which kept on calling the cops on us
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and giving false accusations saying that we were having illegal fighting upstairs and this and that, which shows to you how ignorant and illiterate some of these people are that picked up the phone and made accusations. Now, I don't know if it was on a personal sense, or I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it's probably because they're about our health, which I highly doubt. But
Mm-hmm.
this was ridiculous. Like, the officers had came over 15 times, and in all of those visits which we have had, there has been no fines, there has
Right.
been no protocol which has been broken, there has been nobody which has had broken the law. So nobody broke the law, nobody broke protocol either. So it was
Mm-hmm.
personally only the professionals which were training to feed their families. Now,
Right.
this individual, which is unfortunate that he's our neighbor, like it's over 10 years, it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because we kept on running into their employees like every day, like in the parking lot. So instead of being very neighborly and saying hello, hi, how are you, and let's live in a peaceful environment, while some
Mm-hmm.
jackass, like preferred to, I don't know, be righteous or maybe be vindictive. Like, I couldn't even use any word, but both like
Mm-hmm.
could suit very well. And it's like, we're not breaking the law, we're following protocol, there has been no outbreak, and we need these gentlemen to earn their living, and they have a right to feed their families.
Of course.
Now, I guess, and then it became a question of becoming harassment, because after a number of times, and 15 is that big number, and you could ask them, the head coach, like, they came and visit 15 times. Like, if you have nothing else to do, then just call the police officers, which have a very dangerous job, which have
Yeah.
things which are much more important to take care of than actually
Exactly.
follow up on bogus complaints. It's
Yeah.
like you are burning the taxpayers' money, like, to come and visit us, athletes, not criminals, athletes, which want to feed our families. They should be getting the fines. They should be getting, like, most probably, like, they should be getting complaints against them. It's stuff which gets very emotional, but after a while, it's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
Firas got, and we're all signing a petition, trying to unite all gyms from across Quebec and
Yep.
Canada, to try to get everybody sign this petition to say that we have the right to stay healthy, of course, in a safe and secure environment. But if
Yes.
there's no proof, and if we're there for basically your health and livelihoods for professional athletes, then there is no reason for police officers to come and visit us over 15 times. There's no
No.
reason for that.
No. No. There is not. And I think what I really took, I mean, Faraz has been uh, on, Faraz has been on Rogan. He's been on a number of things. He's talked to the public. I mean, anybody who's listened to anything Faraz has ever said knows that he is a highly intelligent individual. And, he's a learned, he's a very educated man. And the way that he dealt with it, I think, was a testament to his intelligence in the fact where he simply just said, listen, I'm not letting you in this gym. This is absolutely ridiculous that you guys keep getting called on us. I know it's not your fault. I know you guys are just doing your job, but nothing has changed. We have not done anything wrong. If you want, go get a warrant. You can come in, but like, we're not doing this anymore because this is, at this point, it's harassment, and the people downstairs are taking advantage of you
Exactly.
guys to cause issues for us to do our job. Like, I don't care what company's underneath you. If you don't know who TriStar is and you don't know the level of like, not even just sway, but the reputation that TriStar has, that you have, that Faraz has, that all the other coaches have, about being like a disciplinary, you know, above grade, one of the greatest martial art gyms in the world, not just the province, not the country, not North America, the world, like the actual world, then you're ridiculous. And like I mean, it's been a problem, and I think it's one of the main stakes is that people use these public servants like their own personal militia, like to make a point. And it's like, listen, I don't care what kind of car you drive, I really don't. But the fact of the matter is that if you don't like what somebody's doing, it's not your issue. Then don't come in contact with the people. Don't whatever. But like you said, just stay out of our way. We'll stay out of yours, and we're gonna do our own thing, and we're gonna do it safe. Like that's it. But it just that whole thing was just absolutely ridiculous. And I'm sure the cops at that point were just like, why are we getting called here again? Like, why are we doing this? But again, a good cop does their job, right? A good cop, they get called, they take a breath, and they're like, okay, we got to go over this again. We got to do it again. Let's go, whatever. We'll walk in, we'll ask questions, the same fucking questions we'd asked a million times, and let's just do it. But I'm happy that Faraz did what he did, because I think what it's going to do, and what we've been trying to doing as a coalition of gyms, is it's going to shed a lot of light on the situation and be like, listen guys, like if we're really into health and wellness, and we're really about, doing the things that we can to fix this situation, then we need to allow the professionals to do their jobs in a safe and secure manner so that we can move forward. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like 100%. um yeah, man, it's
And
ridiculous. Listen,
like the
yeah, go
worst
ahead.
thing, yeah, sorry. And the worst thing is that uh, vast majority of these police officers are coached by Firas Sahab, by myself, by like
Yeah,
some other coaches which are at TriStar Gym. It puts them in like this rock and a hard place type of situation, because for
yeah,
many years they have been using our facility to get in shape, stay ready, work on jujitsu skills, work on striking skills, just so that they have somewhere to let go, like after their shift,
yes,
And it's
exactly.
unfortunate for some of them because they have a job to do, which I totally respect and
Hmm.
understand. But
Yeah,
when, like you just said, when the common goal is using the law as their personal mercenaries, that's where I have a
yeah,
problem with it, because these
yeah,
gentlemen are paid to take care of criminal and unlawful acts, which is
yeah,
not our thing. We're not criminal. We are not breaking the law at all. So that's where it's very unfortunate. And that's where it comes that a lot of these guys, which I feel for because I've worked with a lot of law enforcement people too, and I can tell you that these guys are human beings, and these guys
of
are
course.
under stress and pressure every freaking day. And now they have to deal with stupidity like this, which has
Yeah,
nothing to do with criminal behavior. This is not criminal
yeah,
behavior.
yeah. At least all the police officers that I've talked to, that I'm friends with, they all say, like, do you think that this is really what we want to be doing? You think that you think we went through years of training, we went to school, all this kind of stuff, we got all these things, we got all these, like, we've done all this, we went through, your beat cops and did everything. You think we went through all that so that we can walk into businesses and tell them not to do business? Like, this is not what we signed up for. This is not what anybody signed up for. He's like, so the idea that, that people are looking at us like we're trying to be, we're trying to institute like martial law. We're trying to like walk into business and tell them what to do. It's like, that is not at all the case. You know what I mean? We're not trying. Now, listen, there are some assholes in every profession. That's just given nature. There will be some dudes who will overstep their bounds and will use their power. But for the majority of people who I know, who don the badge and do whatever, this is not what they signed up for, man. They signed up to protect and serve, to keep the population safe, and to make sure that nobody gets into situations that they can't handle. You know what I mean? That's what their position. That's what their position is supposed to be. And the friends that I have that are police officers, that's why they got into. That's why That's why they serve and protect. But so again, I think it goes back to like what you said, like way at the beginning, is that we have people in positions who are doing a job that they're not qualified for, and as opposed to getting mad at them for that, because I don't know, again, if anybody was really qualified for a situation like this, they're not going to the right people to get the right information to make the right decisions. They're shotgunning it with hindsight, and saying like, "We'll try this, and if it doesn't work, we'll do that." It was like, well, how about instead of just being reactionary to what's going on, let's work with the people who study this for a living and see what's going on. I mean, one of the biggest things that's pissed me off through this whole thing um, is our mutual friend Jamal, who I love. Jamal, I went to Cégep with Jamal. You know what I mean? I love Jamal to death. Um, he would send me messages all the time. He's like, dude, he's like, I don't get it. He's like, I can walk into Costco, and there is a line a half a mile long of people who are literally 6 inches apart with other people crisscrossing through aisles, getting within a couple of feet of each other in a enclosed area. But I can't go to a gym and work out 6 feet away from somebody. He's like, this does not make any sense. And I said, you know what? I'll do you even one further, dude. I'm like, I don't understand how a place like Walmart or Costco or any of these places are open, and they can deem those essential and necessary. But when it comes down to someone who has a shop, someone who owns a restaurant, someone who owns whatever, that they can't be open, even though when you think about it from a rational standpoint, who has more control over their business and their space? Someone who runs a small business and controls the seating, controls how many people can come in and out, who controls who they sell to and who they don't sell to, or a big company like Walmart or all these other companies who have a massive amount of clientele, like employees. Most of them are teenagers who really maybe don't give a shit about their job anyways because they're getting paid minimum wage, and who are probably just going to let things slide because why am I going to sit here and be like, an asshole to people when they're not paying me enough to care? Why are we going to let that occur over and over again? But you can't let someone go into a boutique and shop for something. You can't let a butcher or someone like that sell their goods because it's too much of a risk of people coming together when their livelihood, like when your livelihood is dependent on keeping people safe, keeping people healthy, making sure that the customer is happy with the transaction and the experience. People are going to go above and beyond to make sure that the situation is safe and sanitary, much more than a place where if you go to Walmart and stuff where they're not going to give a shit. You know what I mean? Like that's the only thing for me that really pissed me off. It's like that should have never been a thing. I would have even more seen like, let's close Walmart. Let's put those people on furlough. Put those people, and I mean, I don't want anybody to go on furlough, but if you're going to put somebody on, give them the governmental assistance, because that's more of a safe. Let the people who are working for themselves and doing their small jobs, let them work. Let them do it because they can control what they're doing. Now, if they get seen as they didn't do something positive or they made a mistake, well, then you find them. Then you close them for a while. Like even with the gym up north, you can say what you want. If there was a situation where the government deemed that they were not following protocol, okay, I'm just saying if, why is it that all these dudes do is they get a fine or whatever it is, or maybe not even a fine, and they just go on their business anyways? Like, where's the ramification that if you're going to put all these things in place, where's the punishment that comes from breaking protocol? Like, why isn't the gym then closed down for a month? Like, you break protocol, you don't follow the rules. Okay, cool. You're deemed unfit to run your business during this certain situation. We're going to close you for 2 weeks. You cannot operate for 2 weeks because you didn't follow protocol. I'd be much more cool with that because at least it gives
Well,
people the option to follow protocol.
well, see, Blake, like in a perfect world, that's great. What you just said made perfect sense. Now that's where I lost confidence in mainstream media,
Yeah,
because if it would be really about health, that's exactly what would have gone on. What you just described made 100% sense. Saying if it would be about health, now that's where, like I just said, that I lost complete confidence in mainstream media
yeah,
because it's not about health. Because if it would be about health, it would be all like people, businesses, which would be able to control the numbers of the people that come in and out of their stores. But
hmm,
seeing that all these big merchants are still running and still going strong. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you that it's political. It's about money. They don't give a shit about our health. Now, maybe a lot of people which will be listening like to this podcast will agree with me, and some won't. But
Mm-hmm.
try to sit down and try to put two and two and try to make those and try to understand that if it's really about health, they would have opened up all the small businesses. And why? Because, like you said, we have complete control of how many people could come in and how many people could go out. So we have that control. If it's about health, that's where, like I said, I lost total faith because to my eyes, now some people are going to call me, oh, coach, like you're selfish, coach, or conspiracy theorist. No, I'm a critical thinker. If it's about health, then why is everything else opened and Costco's and Canadian Tires, which I understand are essential because you need your products to live every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's political and it's about money. It's always been about money. Now, let's not kid ourselves. Let's not lie to ourselves. It's always been about money. What generates more money? Costco's or the small businesses? Costco's do. So the thing is, what they want to do is they want to my opinion, is I find that they're killing off the small businesses, which are it's very sad. Now, some people are going to say,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but the government, like, give them like compensation. That's not what people need because at the end of the day, they are going to get taxed for that and they are going to be punished for that because they are going to have to pay that back within the years
Yeah, they're
of
loans. They're
income
not. It's not the
and
government
coming in.
giving money. It's a loan.
Exactly. It's not free money.
Yeah.
It's a fucking loan, straight up.
Yeah.
People look at this as, oh my god, like, stay home because of health. So meanwhile, like I'm staying at home and like I'm gonna like get a check. Well, some of us did compensate from it for a couple of months, but like the hardworking Joe like ourselves need to make our money because we you don't want to be a slave to the system saying that every year like I gotta give back like let's just say $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make no sense to me. But the average Joe that looks at this like, it's free money. No, it's not. So that's where I lost faith, and that's where I put two and two together, saying this is not about health no more. It's about money, and it always has been about money. It is a tad bit about health, like in the beginning, because it's unpredictable. So people
Yeah.
had no clue what was going on. The governments, like the normal Joe, had no clue what was going on. So they didn't know what to expect. But as this year went on, a lot of people understood a lot of shit. A lot of people opened up their eyes, and some are still sleeping, unfortunately. But you're not going to convince me that has worked in the health environment and martial arts environment all my life that it's about health now, because it's not. It's about money, and now it's becoming a political pandemic. Now, agree
Yeah.
with me, don't agree with me. I personally don't give a shit. But the thing is, people have to understand that if it's about health, they would be looking up specialists, sports medicine doctors, people like us that are in the environment, which is over 25 years. That's
Mm-hmm.
who could give you good advice on health, not two accountants with a doctor which is continuously contradicting himself. I'm not going to take advice from those people at all. Nothing, zero.
Yeah, I got you. So, I mean, we've been talking for a little over an hour and a half almost. So, I'll let you go in a sec. The last couple of things I just want to talk about. So, Rose Namajunas, being one of the first, I believe, the first women to recapture her title. I think was it 3 years ago she lost that to she lost her featherweight. Did you watch the fight? What'd you think?
Yeah, like, I watched the fight, but I don't know if it was 3 years ago. But I watched the fight. Like I saw her lose, and I
How long
saw her
was it
win
ago
like
that
this
she
weekend.
got the title? How long has it been
And
since? Yeah.
like
How
I
long
could
has it
tell
been?
you, in my opinion, Rose Nama. How long? Maybe what? Maybe 2 years or
It's two
three
years.
max.
Okay,
Me
2
that
years.
she lost the belt.
Yeah.
Probably.
I just know there's not too many. There's not too many people who lost it and then get it back in the manner that she did. That like knockout. Like
Yeah.
she's a testament to how hard she works. She's Thug Rose is the perfect name for her. but yeah, the last thing I want to talk about is did you by any chance watch the Winter Soldier, uh, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series on Disney Plus? Okay.
Uh,
Next, before
no,
next
so
time I talk, because what I was going to ask you is, I wanted you to rate GSP's acting as being a buddy of his for a certain number of years. I want it to be because as
do not put
uh,
on the spot.
you know what I mean? I was because as a guy who's as someone who's a Quebecer, and you see him uh, talking. I mean, you're like, okay, cool, but when he starts picking, you get the little bit of the Quebecois accent, and then you get the Quebecois French, and he's supposed to be, this Parisian person. Is just, I was just like, this is awesome. I love the fact that this guy is in the MCU, that he transferred to being like, a world class athlete into like a movie star. It's just like, I just wanted to see as one of his friends what you guys thought about like his acting chops, and if like you guys ever talked to him about it and be like, so you looking to win an Oscar there, bud, or what's going on?
Uh, Look, to my opinion, like uh, like I can say that that's probably what attracts a lot of the worldwide spectators, and that's probably charm. And you see, like we know him as the Quebecer here, George, as martial like as an all-time great, like as a legend, and
Yeah,
but as an actor, like I can say we see him as like he's doing his best like to play that role. And well, that's my
yeah,
personal opinion, like because I am no like acting buff, like I am no one to judge that. But from what I can see is people like his perks, like people like his stuff, like people like his accent because it's different. So I
yeah.
guess around the
Fair.
world, like
It's like
he
he's got a little bit
makes
like of a weird
something
Arnold
that
Schwarzenegger vibe.
yeah, sort of, yeah,
Like a little
exactly,
bit,
like
like
in
that
the
weird
80s.
accent. You don't really understand what he's saying half the time, but he knows kind of what he's doing, so you kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll buy into it. You know what I mean? Like I could see him
well
getting some
look,
cheesy
like
action movie
if
at some point. I think it'd be awesome. Or being like in Fast. I could so see him being in Fast and the Furious. I don't know why, but every time I look at him, like he needs to be in Fast and the Furious. Like he needs to be like fighting The Rock or one of those guys. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, look, if he did the movie scene in the Disney, like in the Disney world and the MCU world, like all power to him, man. Like proud to have known him, proud to uh, been part of his fight camps back in the day. Like now he's a different individual. Now he's a person which, like he's gonna look onto acting, and like I wish him the best. And he's doing his thing, man. Like I said, like he's different, so I guess that's what sells.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Sandro, I greatly appreciate you taking the time out to talk and chat. We'll definitely do this again. Uh, e- all the best to you guys at TriStar. I hope the cops don't bother you anymore. I doubt they will. Probably, you know what I mean. But yeah. But thanks so much for coming on, and
Think
I'll have
so.
you on again soon. Appreciate you, brother.
Sure, Blake. Hey, thank you. Like it's always a pleasure, brother.
Yeah, buddy. And we'll go soon because I got a little girl at home, so I gotta learn how to throw punches now. So just in case shit goes down.
All right, bro. Like
All right,
I'll
buddy.
see you.
All right. Have a good one,
Bye.
bud. Appreciate you.